All right, so we can now go to the second contributor talk, which will be presented virtually by Rafia Islam and Azmine Toushik Wasi. Rafia is a fourth-year undergrad student studying law at the Independent University of Bangladesh, and Azmine is also a fourth-year undergrad student in the Industrial and Production Engineering at Chalal University of Science and Technology in Bangladesh. They will present their work titled Balancing Power and Ethics, a Framework for Addressing Human Rights Concerns in Military AI. Please join me in welcoming Rafia and Azmine. You can go ahead, Rafia.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Today we will be discussing balancing powers and ethics, a framework for addressing human rights concerns in military AI. I'm Rafia Islam, presenting alongside Azmine and Toushik Wasi. Let's dive into the complexities and solutions surrounding military AI. Artificial intelligence is transforming military operations with enhanced precision and efficiency, but it raises critical ethical and legal concerns, including human rights violations. Autonomous weapons and surveillance systems risk causing loss of life without human oversight, privacy breaches, and discrimination. To address these issues, we propose a three-phase framework to address military AI issues in design, deployment, and use phase, ensuring military AI adheres to ethical standards and protects human rights. Moving forward, some parts of the presentation may include visuals of weapons or military equipment. Thank you for your understanding. Rapid integration of AI into military operations raises some ethical and legal questions. What if AI-guided drones target civilians by mistake? Or what if AI-assisted detection systems fail to identify real threats, leading to catastrophic consequences? On one hand, AI has the potential to enhance capabilities, but on the other hand, it risks perpetuating biases and violating fundamental human rights, including the right to life and privacy. The lack of transparency and accountability in these systems only exacerbates these issues, making it harder to achieve justice or oversight. These motivations have guided our efforts in developing a balanced and ethical framework for military AI. AI-based autonomous military systems use machine learning to analyze data and make independent decisions based on real-time inputs. However, they pose risks such as decision-making errors, biased training data, lack of accountability, and vulnerability to adversarial attacks. Our framework consists of design phase, in deployment phase, and during or after use phase. The design phase focuses on developing systems that are unbiased, accountable, and ethical. The deployment phase ensures that systems are introduced into the environments responsibly, adhering to ethical standards and legal compliance. Finally, the use phase maintains accountability and human oversight, safeguarding human rights during and after the system's operation. Together, these stages create a robust life cycle approach to mitigate risk and uphold ethical principles. For each phase, we have some components. Let's go through them in detail. Imagine a future where an autonomous military system make a life-altering decision based on biased data. How do you ensure fairness and accountability then? In design phase, integrating ethical principles such as fairness, transparency, and human oversight is crucial. But how can we trust these systems if training data is skewed or frameworks lack robustness? Errors in perception, decision-making, or execution can lead to catastrophic outcomes. Are we ready to address these challenges? In design phase, we address two key aspects: handling errors of autonomous systems and tackling bias and discrimination. These two pillars are essential for creating effective, ethical military AI systems. A controversial case highlighting the importance of ethical design is the IDF's AI system, Lavender. It identified 37,000 potential targets in Gaza, while reports suggest the actual number is between 17,000 and 30,000. This discrepancy risks 7,000 to 20,000 additional civilian casualties, raising serious ethical and humanitarian concerns regarding its design. Such cases highlight the dire need for ethical considerations in the design stage, as failure to do so can result in devastating humanitarian consequences. Is it acceptable to deploy AI-powered military systems on foreign ground, where cultural and legal complexities may arise? The deployment phase ensures AI systems are used responsibly in environments suited to their capabilities, avoiding high stakes areas to prevent harm and complying with ethical and legal standards. For instance, how do we justify where AI powered weapons are deployed, and how do we ensure they don't compromise lives or fundamental rights? For surveillance, balancing security needs with privacy rights is vital. Transparent ethical practices must safeguard personal freedoms while maintaining confidentiality. Responsible deployment means placing AI systems where they can operate effectively, lawfully, and humanly, minimizing harm and ensuring accountability. A tragic example of unethical deployment occurred during the US military's drone strike in Afghanistan, where Afghan aid worker Zamir Ahmadi was misidentified as a terrorist due to faulty analysis. This led to the deaths of Ahmadi and 9 other civilians. Such incidents raise critical questions. Was the system tested for biases before deployment, or was it trained on region specific data to accurately identify threats in that context? When military AI makes a life altering decision, who takes responsibility for the outcome? The system, the operator, or the developer? The during or after use phase demands continuous oversight to ensure AI operations within ethical, legal, and moral boundaries, particularly in high stakes scenarios. Accountability is a serious concern requiring clear responsibility chains, transparent decision making, and traceable actions to maintain trust and prevent harm. Bias is another pressing issue. How do we safeguard against unfair targeting or decisions that harm vulnerable groups? We believe regular audits, systems updates, and active monitoring are essential to detect and address any discrimination. This phase is vital to ensuring military AI serves its purpose responsibly, safeguarding human lives while upholding trust, fairness, and accountability in its operations. In a tragic example from Libya, an autonomous drone targeted retreating soldiers without any human intervention. This decision, made without accountability or oversight, raises profound ethical concerns. How can we ensure that such life altering decisions are never left solely to machine and that human judgment is always part of the process? Though international humanitarian law doesn't explicitly address military AI, we can connect its core principle to these technologies. For instance, AI systems must be able to distinguish between combatants and civilians, ensuring that they don't accidentally harm innocent lives. Similarly, the principles of proportionality, which aims to minimize civilian casualties, becomes critical. Can we trust AI to make these nuanced decisions? And how do we ensure that force is only used when absolutely necessary to achieve legitimate military objectives? These are crucial questions in ensuring that AI in warfare respects human life and dignity. Implementing our framework for AI in military applications presents several challenges. First, sorry, First, ensuring accountability, control, and explainability is difficult, requiring transparency and clear responsibility at every stage. There is also a lack of willingness from stakeholders. With Western countries may feel concerned that rivals such as China may not feel similar ethical standards, creating a competitive disadvantage. Security and reliability issues may arise as the framework must address vulnerabilities to cyber attacks and malfunctions. Ethical and legal gaps in existing frameworks create uncertainty around consistent application, particularly concerning human rights. Over reliance on AI risks undermining human oversight. Lastly, the need for international standards is critical to prevent consistency and misuse. Overcoming these challenges is key to guiding the ethical use of military AI. Addressing these issues requires thoughtful global collaboration to ensure AI is used responsibly and ethically in military settings. The European Union AI Act is one grand step toward the regulation of artificial intelligence in many fields, trying to ensure its safe and ethical use. Yet, a significant gap remains. Military AI is excluded from its scope, raising concerns about accountability and oversight in this critical area. While the European Union AI Act sets strict violation for civilian AI, it notably excludes defense-related systems, leaving military AI largely unregulated. This gap becomes even more concerning with dual-use technologies, which can be applied to both civilian and military contexts. How can we ensure that military AI is developed and used ethically if it remains outside these regulatory frameworks? There's an urgent need for international guidelines that address this issue and help safeguard human rights in defense technologies. Our proposed framework seeks to address these challenges by considering the entire life cycle of military AI. It strives to prevent discrimination at every step, ensure compliance with international humanitarian law, and promote ethical deployment practices. But how do we guarantee that human oversight and accountability remain intact in such complex and high-risk situations? By embedding continuous monitoring and clear responsibility, our framework aims to navigate the ethical dilemmas of military AI in a way that puts people and their rights first. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
We can have a few questions. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hello. I think your presentation did a very good survey of what's out there, all the different methods out there for AI militarism. I'm kind of lucky because actually my alma mater is the UW, and a couple of the different methods that you talked about in your paper were developed by UW people. So for example, you mentioned SHAP for explainable AI problems can be a solution to fairness and bias in AI targeting systems. However, one thing that SHAP doesn't really address is intersectionality in identities. It only looks at it through an additive lens for singular identities, which I think could be a huge problem in fairness, especially when thinking about women in conflict settings. So like women from racial minority backgrounds in like the Palestinian genocide. And the other method that you talked about was YOLO for perception. And Joseph Redman, who developed YOLO at UW, he actually regrets it. And he's like a huge advocate against AI militarism because of how YOLO was used for targeting systems. And so I think that this approach of techno-solutionism is actually kind of ineffective. I was wondering what your thoughts were on this as well.
Okay. So we think that these other technologies that are currently being used in the system, but yeah, we need to develop some advanced things like that can address these biases, for example, newly developed vision transformers and like matters SAM 2. I think like these new methods will be able to address these issues. And
Thank you. Rafia, do you want to add something to that? Or? It was hard to hear, yeah. Rafia, maybe you want to add something to that because it was actually hard to hear what Azmine you were saying. I think you have maybe not very good connection.
Actually, no. I'm sorry for that.
Okay, no problem. If there are any other questions? I actually have a question. You mentioned in your framework having regular audits to make sure compliance with, like, for example, international humanitarian law regulations. I was wondering what's your thoughts about who would be the entity that would perform these audits? You're muted.
You're muted right now. Yep.
We can create some, but if they want to audit these, the systems, they can create some new organizations to do that, I guess. We propose that.
Sorry, I couldn't hear exactly what you said. Can you repeat that?
Maybe some new organizations can be created to do the audits.
All right, so there's no further questions. Let's thank the speakers again.